Welcome back to the Dive YouTube channel. I am Turk, and today we're doing a reaction video from the Deco Lounge, which is the gentleman who owns Critter Republic in the Philippines. I like some of the stuff that he does, so we'll see how well I like this. This is him taking this SDI Sidemount course, his Sidemount journey. So let's get into this and see what we think.
All right, so today is the day I'm gonna actually finish my SDI Sidemount course, basically the basics of...
Okay, I have this same harness, and I can already tell you, I don't know who set this up for him, but number one, his D-rings are too low. Where they're set up now is great if you're diving a twin set or a single tank in a backplate and wing. You take your arms out like this, bring your thumbs in, and where the thumbs hit straight is where you put your D-rings. Great for single tank, great for twin sets. And side mount, we want those D-rings up higher, closer to the collarbone. So already the configuration is not proper. And then looking at his bungees, where he has the hard attachment on the harness for the bungees, it looks too low to me. I don't use those. I actually use sliding bungees, because I feel that they are better. They're easier to get in and out of, especially when you're going from wetsuit to dry suit, and you have the dump valve on your dry suit here on your shoulder. It's much easier to get into if you can slide those down. I have a video on how I set mine up. I'll link that in here and you can check that out. But let's continue. This is
the side mount.
Oh, okay. I do love that wing, that outside of that shell, which is in the video I just talked about, is great. It's very abrasion resistant. It's fantastic.
Got my gear all ready, and this is where I find out if I like side mount better than twin sets.
Nobody likes side mount.
That is blasphemous.
Nobody likes twin set better than side mount once you know how to side mount properly. That ability to stretch out underwater, which you can't do in a twin set, especially if you're doing deco dives, is really nice.
Or not. Or better than regular recreational back mount. So I got somebody joining me today. They're also taking the course with me.
My favorite thing about side mount, because you mentioned recreational back mount, is that the best thing about side mount is that independent redundancy. I don't have to rely on anybody else to save myself. And as someone who is a dive professional, and you're diving with people you don't know all the time, that's very key.
We just spent like half a day in the classroom doing theory and how the gear works and stuff. Although since this is my dive shop and I have that instructor trainer in-house, I've already kind of went over that 100 times, so I'm just ready to get in the water. The hard part for me is getting this configured correctly, where it's tight. And you know, I'm a big dude. There's a lot of bungees and stuff that go around you. Anyway, let's just get in the water.
He said, the hard part for him was getting it figured correctly. First of all, I don't think it's configured correctly. Second of all, that is where a proper side mount course comes into effect. That's why I really want my students to have their own side mount harness when they come here, because a big part of that course is not just setting up the harness, but explaining how we set it up, why we're making the changes that we're making. And that way, if they ever need to swap out some harness material, this is a one-piece harness. The X Deep, which I used to dive, is each piece is individual. So the shoulder straps are individual, the waist strap is individual. So you can just change the waist strap. You don't have to change the whole piece. This is a single piece harness system. Much harder to put together, but in the right hands, not that difficult.
All right, good. Perfect. No twists or turns on the...
Okay, I want to go back here a little bit. See if I can't see. Okay, good. Looks like his hose is going in the right direction. Yeah, I don't see any issues off the top of my head with this. That inflator hose is really long, but he is a bigger guy. I do want to say that I'm being critical. I'm a grumpy instructor. I do love the fact that he is trying side mount. He's gone into tech. I've been watching his videos for a long time. I think his progression may be a little fast. Mine was a little fast as well. I had really high level mentors, which helped me, and I put a lot of practice into my skills. I talk about that all the time. I was not a natural at this at all. I've seen some other videos of his. I do question a little bit, and this is being very picky, the level of instruction that he's receiving. We'll see how this works. We'll see how this goes. Maybe I'll change my mind. You never know. I'm always open to that.
All right, good. Perfect. No twists or turns on the loop. Nice and tidy.
That is a huge bolt snap on your regulator. You don't need one that big. That's massive. You can use a smaller one. But nitpicking. He does have a 90 on that left side cylinder, which I like when it comes to hose identification, which reg are you on. So bringing your hand up, and if you move like this next to your face and you don't feel the hose, well, that means you're on your short hose, so you need to grab and break away and donate. If you feel the hose, you just grab what's in your mouth and donate. So I do like those 90s. Some people complain about them. Some people use swivels. I have a swivel on mine now. I'm switching it out to a 90. The swivels you blow an O-ring in them all the time, especially those Omni swivels. I've bought 4 since I've been here, and it'll be 3 years in August. And I've gotten 4 Omni swivels. They're wonderful until they're not.
Right side, left side.
It looks like he's using the Yushin. So he's got the Yushin side mount system. He has the Yushin regs, first and second stages.
All right, easy part done. Got my long hose on the right, my short one on the left with the necklace. I just gotta go down and adjust, so that's what we're trying to do now.
Okay, he needs to go down and adjust. The first thing he should have done, at least this is how I teach it, is you put that long hose regulator in your mouth and turn your head left. If it starts to pull out of your mouth, then you need to bring just a little bit more hose out of the hose retainers until it's nice and comfortable when you can turn your head left. So I would have done that before I went into water. Hey, that's just me, I guess.
Unlike any of the other courses I've taken, getting adjusted for side mount is taking quite a while. For a good 20 minutes, all I did was hover while my instructor swam around me, checking the fit of things.
That is true. When you get in the water, we can adjust the harness on land and you can get pretty close. But I always say that side mount is the death of 1,000 micro adjustments. So a very, very small adjustment can make a massive change in your configuration. So when we first get you in the water, we want you to sit there, just try to be neutral. You should be able to be neutral at this point, and try to be in trim. And then we'll swim around and make little adjustments. We'll look at things. We'll see if the length of the bungee looks good, where the valves are in relation to your armpits, where the butt of the cylinder is. It's a lot of us examining everything first and getting a good idea of any changes we need to make once we get back out of the water.
Continually adjusting, shortening a bungee here, loosening another one there, sliding D-rings into better positions, and so on. Obviously, the goal is to have everything fitting perfect.
It looks like here that his left post or left cylinder, that reg hose might be a little short. It's really pulling off to the side. Again, I'm being a stickler because side mount is my passion. It's something that I've spent many, many years at this point perfecting. So I'm very much a stickler for proper side mount diving, proper side mount training. And it looks like that hose might be a little short. It could just be that his left cylinder needs to move up a little bit. which we'll do by lowering that Jubilee clamp. It's hard to tell from this video right where we're at right now, but I will say that the bungees look like they're about the right length. So good job on that. I'm not sure why he has a double ender on the left D-ring. If that is for hard clipping, what I teach my students to do is to take that off. I don't like anything dangling around, and go and clip it on the back D-rings, your drop D-rings on the harness.
Perfect, so that the tanks are pulled up snug to my sight and laying perfectly horizontal.
Yeah, that actually looks good. Now with bigger guys, it's a little bit more difficult to see exactly if the cylinders are in the right position, because you want the center of that cylinder to be in the center line of the body. It looks like they may be a little low, but it's hard to tell. It can be difficult unless I'm actually in the water with them. And the angle, the video can make a difference here, so I don't want to be overcritical on that.
Oh.
Woo! Yeah, that helicopter turn can use some work. That can be more efficient. And that just takes practice. But like I say all the time, be better, do better.
They're finally adjusted and in nice trim. We have to turn the cameras off and get to the skills of the course.
Well, whoever this is on the right is not in trim, number one. And that cylinder is not even remotely close to where it should be. First of all, you can see, if you look at where the neck of the cylinder is, it's way far up into his armpit. It needs to come back down a little bit. There's some issues with that configuration.
Time to learn valve drills, unclipping and clipping on tanks, and much more.
Okay, now it's setting a little bit better. It could just be how it was positioned. I also think, yeah, I can see here on the side, right here, that they are using normal D-rings on the harness. I do not like to use those D-rings. I like to use a low profile D-ring, which gives you less cylinder movement. Top tip.
All right, today we are done with the pool session. We just did like.
I would have liked to have seen more of the pool session. So this is your side mount journey, but you're not actually showing me any part of your journey. You could have set the camera up in the pool so that way nobody's actually holding it, and you could have recorded some of these skills, because I would have been interested in seeing that.
Like a lot of little different skills, really getting our bungees tightened up, everything like that, practicing unsnapping and snapping our tanks back on, changing regular. We did a whole bunch of little
Coffee. Clipping and unclipping. Snapping and unsnapping is not the right term. Terminologies matter. Some people say that I'm a little strict on that. They're cylinders, they're not tanks. They're fins, not flippers. They're masks, not goggles. We're breathing air, not oxygen. Well, unless you're on a pure oxygen rebreather, but that's another story for another time. Terminology matters, especially when you're an instructor. Don't confuse your students.
side mount skills. I think we're just going to do a whole separate video for side mount skills. But I think
Real quick, I want to give Brendan, my business partner, a shout out. This Nespresso cup, Raid Orange, Deep Six Orange, is wonderful. Thank you.
finally got adjusted correctly where it's the tanks are real tight up to my side.
Cylinders. They're cylinders, not tanks. Germans come in tanks.
Sides of my legs. My buoyancy is good. I think we're good. So
Sorry, Germans.
we're going out right now, and we're just gonna go do our first ocean dive. So
Let's see what we got here. You don't need to Superman your arms like that. Okay, it's his first ocean dive. I'm not going to be too critical. Relax your shoulders a bit. Bring your arms down. You can still have your arms out like this. I do, and look at my computer, but you don't need to be out like this. If you're out like this, your weighting's not right. But relax your shoulders. It keeps you from arching your back. Cylinder placement looks pretty good. valve handles are out, so you don't have a lot of torque on that bungee, which is right.
So it goes against agency standards for an instructor or student to film during a course. So we had to do another fun dive after the course to film each other and see how our side mount skills and buoyancy turned out. And
It is. I do know some instructors that will put a GoPro on their hand because the reason you can't film them, well, there's two reasons really. The first reason is you don't want to be locked into a screen and not really paying attention to your surroundings. Your situational awareness, you get blinders on, you're locked into that screen, especially for students. As the instructor, you also want to make sure that you can quickly grab your student. If I'm holding a tray or a bigger camera system, I'm going to have to drop it. If you have it attached on a bungee here, or some people use mass mounts, there's all kinds of ways to do it. You can still quickly grab your student. You can also set the camera on the ground, which I've done, in the sand and recorded. So there's ways of doing that, but you're right, it's against standards. I see it all the time, especially on tri-dives/DSDs, where instructors are out with their students and they're taking that memory for them, but you're breaking standards. Don't do that.
that's what this is.
Get your fin tips down. Get them down. They're not flat. They need to be flat.
During the actual ocean portion of the course, you can expect to be drilled on lots of different skills, such as a no-mast swim,
That's
removing and
better.
replacing
That's better.
tanks, valve drills and tank switches, and a lot more. I'm going to be going over the individual side mount skills circuit in future videos, as well as tips and tricks that I am learning along the way on my side mount journey. The next
That cylinder is way out of trim.
step in my journey, now that I'm a certified side mount diver,
Actually, both cylinders are out of trim here and his fin tips are out.
is to get that experience, which there is no shortcutting. I need to put in the hours perfecting my buoyancy control with 2 tanks and getting comfortable in this harness and stuff. If you guys want to start your own side mount journey, hit up our email below and book some courses with our instructor trainer. Until then, make sure to subscribe.
I don't think you need to perfect your buoyancy in side mount. Once you have buoyancy down, your buoyancy's down. It doesn't matter if you're in side mount, a twin set, single tank. If you're on open circuit, your buoyancy is your buoyancy. There's no difference. Especially with side mount where those 2 cylinders essentially act as outriggers, like on a Hawaiian outrigger canoe, or here in Bali, we have the jagungs, which are the standard Balinese fishing vessels that have the outriggers on them. It's a nice balanced system. Your buoyancy isn't changing. Your buoyancy is the same as if you were in a single tank back mount. On a rebreather, buoyancy is a completely different story.
And I'll see you on the next video.
Okay, you're hard clipping in. You're going to nose clip that to the side, I'm guessing because you're getting ready to come up. But it's also, if you're ending the dive, first of all, you should be on your long hose. Why should you be on your long hose? Well, all dives should start and end on the long hose, because the majority of problems happen at the beginning and or the end of the dive. So having that hose that you can donate, easily accessible, is smart. So if I'm going to be ending my dive, I'm going to take my long hose off. I'm going to take my bungee off, take off my left post, take that reg off, put the long hose back in my mouth, and I'm going to stow the left first and get that ready to hand up to the captain. I'm never going to nose clip anything to my D-rings back here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo the bungee. I'm going to grab my bolt snap from the back, hard clip that in. And then when I get up, all I have to do is pop off my inflator hose, unclip, and hand it up to the captain. There's no need to do this clipping from the neck to the side. You're not rotating bottles. It's not a 100-meter deco dive on open circuit. It's unnecessary. So in the end, not a bad video. I don't really think it shows your side mount journey. There's no skills. I didn't see any of that. There's absolutely ways to film that. Your instructor can't have the camera. Set the camera in the sand. Do your skills. You own the dive center. You have a bunch of staff. Have a staff get in the water and film you. If you're going to make a YouTube video like that, then plan it properly to where we can actually see what your journey looks like. Show me you deploying the long hose and struggling to put it back in again. And then show me later, maybe on the end of the first dive, or maybe on your fourth dive or fifth dive, you having nailed that. Now you can donate the full long hose, deploy it all the way, and easily tuck that all back in safely and get it back on your system. That's what the journey is. And the title of the video is Taking the SDI Sidemount Course, My Sidemount Journey. I didn't really see any of that. I'd like to see more. It was rather ho-hum. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to do another video. I will wait for him to post another Sidemount video, and then I will react to that one as well. But if you're interested in Sidemount, I'm your guy. Come to Ahmed Bali here at Prana Dive. You can come here, take your Sidemount course with me. I offer a very comprehensive Sidemount course. This is something that I have spent the last 6.5, 7 years-ish focusing on solely. Like, this is my main focus is Sidemount. I was lucky enough to be featured on Speaking Sidemount with Steve Davis, which you can check out that anywhere you get your podcast from. And that episode is on there. So this is something that I take very seriously. I see a lot of Sidemount divers that are not very good. And a lot of that comes from instructors that are not very good. Self-certifying after 25 Sidemount dives, not having proper Sidemount training themselves. They don't really understand how to set up harnesses properly, which, like I said earlier, is a big part of what I do. That harness setup, the cylinder setup, a big part of becoming a very good Sidemount diver is understanding your system and how it all works together in conjunction with, you know, how the bungee works with the lower attachment point, etc. So if you're interested, you can message me here. You can hit us up on